it's exciting to come in and offer this message and have Amy support this in the capacity that the work that she and I've done together has been really in alignment with all of what I've been offering. So it's been fun.
And you truly have. I mean, especially we're going through a huge transition with my husband's job and just all that we've been through with COVID, and you've been such a bright light of positivity and just checking in on me. And I mean, it's just been so valuable. And I've gotten the opportunity to be able to talk with so many happy clients other than myself, you know, just to be able to see this light that you've been able to bring into their business and their personal lives in so many different ways. You know, it was making one business even more successful. It was one who had a business idea and now it's growing and growing. I mean, doubled even in the past year. It was another one who was going through a really difficult job transition where her dream job that she thought was her dream job at the time was kind of crumbling before her eyes. And then you helped her see the transition from that into what she was really meant for. Right. And it just was so powerful. So it's been not only powerful for me to be able to personally use your services, but then also be able to talk with others who have been able to benefit from that. And I think a lot of us are going through this season of change. And that's really why we wanted to do this Turning a New Leaf, because, you know, as we're entering the new, you know, season of life right now, you know, as we're living to learn with COVID and, you know, all the changes with that and what it's done personally and professionally, businesses and, you know, just everything. I feel like we're all wanting to move into this new season and say, okay, I've changed a lot. I've learned a lot. I've maybe realized some new dreams, got out of that rut, and maybe I want to make these things happen. And I have woken up out of that routine of this is what I do. This is, you know, just the thing that I do. And now there's new possibilities. And so I'm excited to be able to bring you on and to be able to talk about what these possibilities are and how do you realize that? How do you really get into the finite details of what that is, and how do you make steps toward that every day in little ways, in big ways, and, you know, how do you visualize it? How do you make steps toward it? So that's really what I want to learn from you today.
Yes. I am super excited because, you know, this is my life's passion, my purpose. This is my jam. I thrive on this. And the more I step fully into my life and living my experiences, it's just, I see the trickle down effect. So thank you for offering this platform and the opportunity to share. So I'm going to go over and show you some slides. So today we're talking about turning the leaf, overcoming the fear, falling back in love with yourself and your life. And Amy, you're right. We're all coming up out of this season of what's next. What do we do now? Like, okay, I've adjusted to this whole new lifestyle, this whole new way of being, wearing a mask, telling me to stay home, homeschooling, working from home, like all of those things. Crazy. And it's like, now what? Yeah. I can't find my screen share. There we go. So when I think about, move this up here. Didn't have it on the right slide. All right, so there we go. So the next step is we're talking about the successful new season in life. So when I talk about fear, like I think this is the biggest thing. We all are challenged with the word fear because that's all we know. We are programmed as humans when we enter the earth. We have no programming, and then all of a sudden most of the stuff is fear-based. Don't touch that, don't do that, be here, do that. Like you're programmed with all these things to do and not to do. And so there's this fear piece that is locked into us. And my whole thing about fear, because I grew up with a lot of fear, it was like, how do I overcome when that is just so tight on me, like a stranglehold, right? Like you feel like you can't do anything beyond that. And that's when I learned myself on my journey was I have to ask myself, does this fear serve me? Does this false evidence that's appearing real to me, does it really serve me to hold that as truth? And as silly as that may sound, like, well, Melissa, I'm scared. I don't know how to do that. I can't say, does this serve me? But it kind of diffuses the energy around it, because when you look at what is the worst case scenario, that's where you start saying, does this serve me? What is the worst case scenario? I lose a friend, I lose a job, I get divorced, my kids get in trouble, I go to jail. I don't know. Like, you can go to that worst case scenario. And oftentimes that's where you can build up out of fear and tap back into what is known as the love piece of it, because that's what we forget is if we love on ourselves, everything around us will love on us equally. If we're holding fear internally, all that fear is going to just bring more fear into our lives. So when I look at the worst case scenario and go, okay, well, that's the worst case. I could go to jail, I could die, whatever that worst case is for you in whatever situation, then how do you come up out of that? Well, then you ask, is this true for me? And am I safe? And I think those questions is what the brain will start working to find an answer that meets that solution. Oh, it's not true. I don't think this is true for me. I am safe. I feel okay. Even though I'm a little scared, we all experienced it this year. When we were told there was this virus and then we got shut down, what did we do? Worst case scenario, I'm going to get it, I'm going to die. Was it true for me? Well, I don't have it right now. So am I going to be scared that I'm going to get it? I could be. But right now I'm safe and I know the things to do to be safer. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Like with the worst case scenario, all of a sudden, I think people, they were seeing themselves as, not only having to, be the professional, but now all of a sudden being a homeschool, a professional and a teacher. And, also like I was sanitizing all the groceries and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't feel like I'm being good at anything. I'm ruining everything. The kids aren't getting a good education. I'm not being my best at work. I'm not, if I've forgotten something to sanitize and, you start worrying about all these things. And I think that's perfect to be able to say, okay, what's the worst case scenario? Is that actually true? Who's telling that to you? So I think that that's so true. And that stops you from going down that downward spiral of, well, this is the worst, and this is the worst, and say, okay, let's really look at this. Where am I going in this downward spiral, and how can I stop and go up from here?
Exactly. And that was the place where I think the mantra is mantras, or when you're able to reprogram your thinking. Why is this not letting me go back to my screen share? Sorry about that. Okay. When I found myself in this situation of the fear, like the fear base that I had around, I'm raising 2 children, that was scary. I was changing jobs, that was scary. I was, a teenager doing things that teenagers do, that was scary, like all those things. But as I got older and started on my own journey, this was a Louise Hay statement that came out. If you don't know Louise Hay, you should look her up. She's an amazing woman. She's gone now, but she's done some phenomenal work in the world. She has the You Can Heal Your Own Life book. But this is my mantra. Anytime I am so stuck in fear, I have to say, all is well. Everything is working out to my highest and best good. Out of this situation, only good will come. I am safe. And I would encourage you to write that down, because that can move so much energy. Like, I felt my whole body tingle when I just said that. I felt an emotional attachment to that, because I have learned that truly, when it's all said and done, I am safe. I make my own insecurities. I make my own fear oftentimes. But all is well. You're still here. You're still alive. You're still breathing. You're trying to navigate the situation. But like you were saying, Amy, when you're thinking all of the stuff you had to do, we've been living our lives without worrying about sanitizing our groceries or the gas pump, or, we have flu, we have heart disease, we have, all those other illnesses, but this one just got magnified. Mm-hmm. And so when you can bring that down, that's when you can start tapping into, well, what is true for me?
Well, and I think your brain, automatically wants to go, we're the fixers, especially women. We want to fix. And so we automatically go to the negative in life, because we're like, that's what needs to be fixed. You don't focus on the good, because, a fixer isn't going to focus on the good. It's like, oh, I've already gotten that taken care of. I'm going to focus on the negative. But when you focus on too much negative, that can make you negative and have a negative outlook on life. Even if you consider yourself a positive person, that can happen to you. And especially with all that's going on and a lot of unknowns, and also if you're considering a new season of life and considering maybe making a big change, you focus on all of those negative things. What could go wrong? What would, be the negative part of that? How can I fix it? And you've said those exact words to me. And it does. It puts so much peace in my heart with that, where you focus on the good again. All is well. Everything's working out for my highest and, best. And all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Yes, that is right. And to be able to focus on that. And the more you focus on that, I feel like the more of that comes.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what it is. It's to reprogram that negative into more of a positive so that you can get really clear on what it is you want to do next. And from that place of, the fear base, we're talking limiting beliefs. We're talking about that programming. We're talking about ego shows up. Ego is usually our fear, but we want that higher self. We want that person to run the show. So the next thing, after the fear gets neutralized to some extent, and maybe journaling would help you as well. Those who are finding that fear thing, like write that mantra over again, believe that you've overcome other situations that you were fearful, but you overcame them. Like try to journal like, oh, I remember this time when, I was really scared because I was in the ocean and the ocean totally pulled me under and I thought I was going to drown and I thought I was going to die. And I felt like I was under there for hours. And then I popped up and I could see, the beach and the people. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm okay. But in that moment of under that water, oh my goodness, I was scared to death. So we've experienced fear before. And that's, again, my thing with fear is it's like the roller coaster concept. I can be scared to death to get on that roller coaster because I'm afraid it's going to fly off or something's going to happen. But when I hit that first drop, man, the release of excitement and joy and screaming and just, it feels so good. But I'm also still scared because I don't know if it's going to maintain on the tracks.
Right, right.
So the next thing when you're neutralizing the fear is when you can get into that visualization, like you were saying, Amy. It's something that we see beyond this current situation, this current moment. Vision boards, I did that earlier this year, is great. You can create them either on your phone. You can use pictures and paste them on a board. You can do a Pinterest board. You can do it in Canva. But the thing is, the key to that is the action. You can post things all day long. I want to make $1 million, but if I'm going to sit in my chair expecting $1 million to come to me, it's probably not going to happen. I have to put myself in motion. I have to get in touch with that cosmic kitchen so the universe can create what it is I'm creating in my vision. And so when we're going through this transition of these seasons, whether it's transitioning out of COVID, or we're going into a new job, or we're settling into how our job is now, or we want to start that multi-level marketing business, or we do want to start, doing things voluntarily or doing podcasts or whatever that is. The thing is get all, and I put the word feels, because that to me, that's the deeper connection. What does it feel like when I am really living my best life? I feel like I project it often because I know it feels good. I know what it looks like. I know who I'm becoming. I know what I'm doing. And then I start aligning that energy from the inside out. If I tell people my vision and they have anything to say about it, then I shrink. I feel like, oh my gosh, that was silly. I should have never said that. I'm embarrassed that I said that. Why did I say that? But if I know inside it's a strong connection to what I want my life to be like, to live like, the best it can, and work towards that, then I know I'm aligning with that energy from the inside out. And all the feel good keeps showing up. Those winks from the universe can appear because now you've tapped in to that energy level. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I love those 3 steps because it really condenses it down into what are the actionable ways that I can make a change. Because so many people, they say, oh, I've got this dream of writing a book. Okay, so you put the book on the vision board and you start to get the feels like you're talking about. And that gives you that compass toward what that topic might be. And then, aligning the energy from the inside out is like, okay, let's take this passion that I feel towards this topic and let's take little steps towards that. And making yourself so in tune with what your purpose is and what the steps can be to make little itty bitty inches toward where that direction is, where you feel that is. And then having that vision board to bring you back to what got this all started in the first place.
Yes. Yes. You're such a good student, Amy. Because it is. Yeah. It brings you back to that center. So well said. So that's your 3 steps when the visualization happens, all of those good things. And then, does this support the life that I'm trying to create? I did a post about this earlier, and I think you actually shared it over on Cincy.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
Because this to me was where I found I was getting stuck and stalled, because I was doing things. So I thought I was doing things, but it really wasn't supporting what I was trying to create for myself. Mm-hmm. So if you're, looking for a new job and you're in the, you're in the newspaper, or you're asking people, but maybe you need to be on Indeed and search there. Like, there's ways of like, is this really supporting me in a basic concept, but then the overall big picture, what does it take for me to get to that next level version of myself? Is, sleeping in late, partying all weekend, is that really supporting me in the life that I'm trying to create? Maybe, if I'm going to be someone, that wants to do that. But for me, a lot of times when I hit my lowest point, I was in that confusion of, I'm so successful, things are going great. Oh my gosh, I feel the fear. Can I keep it up? What do people think? What if my parents don't like me because now I'm wealthy and they don't like rich people? So what's going to happen there? And so all I knew to do, because I was modeled this, was drink. And I drank in excess, because that helped kind of numb those feelings and those emotions around creating this life by design. I was scared that I was doing it, and that scared me because I was manifesting the perfect life. And so when I got to my lowest point was when I was using the addictions, the alcohol, the smoking, the overeating, the spending money. It was becoming a tidal wave. And this is where I checked in. Is this supporting the life that I'm trying to create? And was I being a role model to my kids? And It was an absolute not. Yeah.
And that's such a powerful story. Your whole story is incredibly powerful. And I think a lot of people can relate to it because, especially in very difficult times, you have those crutches and you lean on them a little bit more. And also, I think we all have that ideal person in our mind of, when I get my stuff together, this is what I'm going to do. This is who I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to look like. And sometimes, like, when I'm like sitting on the couch, like scrolling through, Instagram for the 2nd hour in a row, I'm like, you know what? I wanted to, accomplish all of these like races this year. And yes, they did get canceled, but ultimately it wasn't about the race. It was about staying true to my health and my wellness. And that has gotten me out of so many, like, it's just snapped me right out of it, where I'm like, okay, yes, a lot of things got canceled this year, and yes, things look different, but it's ultimately about the life that I'm trying to create. Why did you sign up for those races? Why did you do those things? And you have to think about, are the actions that I'm doing right now, are the thoughts that I'm thinking right now leading to the life that I'm wanting to create? And so I'm so happy that you added this in here, because I come back to that so much, especially with the cancel plans, especially with things going wrong. This is one thing that can redirect you and say, what I'm doing right now, can I redirect in any way to get me back on track to that life that I want to create?
Yes. Absolutely. And like you said, trying to create that next version of yourself, you have to start doing what that next version does. Do they get up at 6 a.m.? Do they dress differently? Do they eat breakfast differently? Do they have conversations? Like, all of that we forget. Like, we're trying to morph into that person. So when you start acting as if it already is, then everything starts moving quicker and faster. So always,
and you get into that mindset.
Yes. The mindset, definitely. So when we're looking at the fear, and then we're looking at, ways that we can visualize what that looks like, then it brings back this whole piece about, love for yourself, love for your life. This was a hard lesson for me to learn, because I could love on other people to an extent. I also kind of had my distances. I could love on people, so much. But when it comes to loving myself, I didn't do that. I didn't even know what that looked like. And it's taken many years to understand what that looks like. So depending on, how you were raised and the people that you were around, I mean, there's some families that are, definitely aligned with loving on each other. And then there's also families that are distanced from one another. But relationships that we build over time, sometimes we get this feeling like, well, if I share too much with this person, maybe they'll not like me, and it's when you can step into yourself and love yourself, then it doesn't matter. You will attract those others that are going to align with you in the energy. Amy and I met, I think, you've been 13 years ago. So it's probably been 11 years ago since we met, because you were just a couple of years into creating Cincy Chic. And when I had the golf courses, that's when you and I first met. And so the loving yourself in your life piece is where it starts with a frame of mind. What brings you joy and happiness? And then the joy and happiness part being you're the one that feels the joy and happiness, not, oh, I'm happy because I take care of my kids, or I have a great job, or my husband's wonderful. That's not the joy and happiness. It's like, what brings you happiness inside? I love getting manicures and pedicures. I love massages. I love, like going out with girlfriends. I love sleeping late on a rainy day. Like, that's my joy and happiness. And we sometimes don't give ourselves permission to do that. But when you come from a place of taking care of you and loving what you do, and eating better or exercising or whatever, that's when the light comes through. That's when you shine. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now in my own life with my own transformation and transitioning into, I have to be in better shape and better health and take care of me, because if I'm going to support the masses that I'm intending to support, and when we can travel, I'm going to be traveling the world, I've got to get myself healthy, right? Like, I got to take care of me.
So just so I understand these 3 steps here. So it's important to really focus on frame of mind. So what you mean by that is what? So can you kind of break down that one for me?
Yeah. So our frame of mind is kind of that it's easier to love on other people than it is to love on ourselves. So the frame of mind would be, if I'm loving out here, if I know how to love on other things, then how can I mirror that back to myself, to love on myself? So a pet, for example, you feed it, you let it out, you give it water, you pet on it. If it's a dog, maybe cats aren't as friendly as like that, but like you have this routine with that, and you know what you do. So then it's like, mirror that back. That frame of mind is, well, if I can do it for others, I should be able to do it for myself.
Got it. That makes sense, because especially I think women, we're at the bottom of the totem pole. We take care of everybody else, and we're like, if I get around to myself, then that's fine. But this is really putting that frame of mind of, I matter too.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The matter piece, I think, like you said, we put ourselves on the bottom of the totem pole, but what is that old saying? If mama's not happy, no one's happy. It really, it's like, we should really understand that I got to be happy so everybody else can be happy. Mm-hmm. And then one of the things that I learned, the Opono, I forget how to say it, Opono. This is a Hawaiian tradition that Joe Vitale introduced it. It was actually by someone else that presented it, but this has just come on my radar. I actually got introduced to it probably about 3 or 4 years ago. But in the work that I'm doing right now with my clients, trying to figure out how can I help them detached and tap back into themselves, like cut the cords to everything outside of you and let's love on ourselves. And so I found this to be very helpful because it does a couple of things. The first one is when you're triggered, when something comes up, when the fear sets in, when it's just consuming you, this is where you can look at yourself now and say, I love you. Like, being able to say you love yourself. But the past person who created this fear now, or that trigger, I'm sorry. Like, I'm really sorry that I brought that forward. So please forgive me here in the present, because I don't want that to be my story. And I want to thank you because now I have a different direction for my future. Then you can follow it up with, please heal it, please clear it, please remove it away. So this, again, when fear is so intensified, when triggers come up that make you think you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not tall enough, you're not pretty enough, whatever that is, this to me is a new way of being able to just pause in that moment and say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And then if you choose to add, please heal it, please clear it, remove it all away. There's even little songs out there on YouTube. You can have it play over and over again. But again, we're trying to rewire some of our old beliefs and understanding. We're working more towards conscious language. And it's just a form of The please forgive me is just forgiving of yourself for allowing it to go so deep that it has paralyzed you or brought you into this state of fear or uncomfortableness. Does that make sense?
That's huge. I mean, this is so powerful, but it's so simple too. And it's something like a kind of a mantra, or, you know, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is that you want to say, but it's something easy that you can memorize. And whenever you are, like you said, triggered with something, you can have this to combat it. And it gets you into the right mindset instead of going down that downward spiral. And you can be able to really combat those negative thoughts and redirect yourself into a more positive way.
Yes, absolutely. And then from emotional freedom tapping, if anybody knows the emotional freedom technique, which is tapping on the meridians, this is what they usually, some form of this. I deeply, completely, and unconditionally love, accept, and forgive myself. That's another way. And you can actually tap on your, there's a whole series. You can look that up. That's for another time to teach that. But even just tapping here on your chest bone, just saying those things just to release yourself, it rebalances all of that emotional triggers that's in you, or that fear, or that uncertainty. This is one that I've used when my mind starts running at night, when I lay down at bed and I start going down the rabbit hole with just all kinds of good, bad, ugly, otherwise. I just start saying this over and over again. I deeply, completely, and unconditionally love and accept and forgive myself. Like, all those words I want to believe are true. And, you know, if you're not able to say it, which I didn't years ago when I learned this, I had to say, I'm working on loving and accepting myself. I'm, you know, allowing myself to feel love and accept it. Like, you can change up the words, but I feel this is the true manner in which you can deactivate and align that chemistry that I'm not going to, I'm lost for the word.
I know what you mean, the
alchemize, or alchemy. Yeah. Like, just kind of like it just takes out, what is it? Alkaline and acidity. We got neutralize. There's the word. I couldn't think of it. Neutralize. Yes.
Yeah, it neutralizes any sort of, like you were saying, like that sort of acidity that starts to build up. And this is really the foundation of what everything is built on. Making sure that foundation is strong, because if you don't love yourself and have confidence in yourself, and I think we're our own biggest critics. And if you're wanting to step out into something new, if you're wanting to really live your true self, I think that you have to be very clear on, you know, feeling the confidence that you can feel, and clearing out all of that negativity. And like you said, at the end of the night, that's when it gets the worst. You know, you start thinking of all the things you didn't do, all the fears of what could happen. And then it can keep you up all night, and then you don't feel at your best the next day. And then you don't, and it just goes downward. So this is a perfect way to be able to, like you said, neutralize those feelings, feel confident again, get the rest you need, and to be able to live that powerful next day.
Exactly. And get up and do it all over again the next day, right?
Yes.
Rinse and repeat.
Little steps every day.
Every day. And that's the thing. Don't throw it away just because one day you didn't do it as well. You know, like, people will choose to go on a diet, or they'll quit drinking alcohol, and then they mess up, and then they feel like, oh, well, I messed up. And that's not what this is. Our life is a journey. It's not a marathon. You know, it's just exploring everything along the way. Each day, it's a new day. It's a new restart. But by turning that leaf, you know, dropping that fear, visualizing beyond this moment, and just connecting with love, those are the 3 steps. And I've given you, you know, the insights of what all of that means. But this is where, you know, I love to talk to people with an activation call, because something's probably resonated with someone that's watched this. There's some uncertainty. There needs to be some more clarity, because we're all so different. We're all experiencing different things, even though they kind of match up a little bit. But I want those of you that are hearing this to really take advantage of meeting with me with that, you know, 20 minutes, 30-minute conversation, because my work in the world is to help those who just feel like there's something more. There's something else. If I just had someone I could say this to, to get more clarity, to get the confidence to do what I need to do, I know I could boldly step into that next version of myself.
And to stay accountable to it too, because we all have those big dreams and you get all fired up about it in the beginning and you have the ideas for it, but then staying accountable to it too. We've had our activation call. Oh my gosh, our activation call, I was in tears because you have such a power to be able to get to that core and to be able to say, okay, this is what we need to get to, and here's our way out. Let's start taking steps towards that. And I love how you simplify things, like even every single slide from this entire presentation, it's all been in very simple steps. So you help to simplify, and first of all, you get to the core of, okay, this is our goal. This is what it sounds like to me you're wanting to reach as a goal. And so you help to clarify that. And then you also help to clarify what the next steps are. And you make it very simple and easy. And then follow-up calls are all about accountability. How are we doing making our way towards this goal? Last time we talked about this being the next step. How is that going? And, really being able to give yourself the confidence and the accountability and all the tools that you need to be able to get to that big picture that you were super excited about in the beginning. And it helps you stay in tune with that because you sort of sing that song back to us when we forget it. And it keeps us very in tune with that passion and that idea and where we're wanting to go, and keeping us very on task and helping us see that goal as a good idea and a good thing, and I can do this. And the more steps you make toward it, the more confidence you get. So I'm definitely a huge testimonial of yours because that first phone call was just eye-opening to me. So I highly encourage, I know with what you're offering with this is everyone that's RSVP gets that call, that activation, and it's huge. Just to be able to get that clarity and to be able to get to the core of what you want that next season to look like.
Yes, absolutely. The thing with working with me is well, everybody needs a coach. That's the first thing. Everybody needs a coach, and we need coaches in different seasons of our life. But I have found that with where we are today, with everything, having a life coach, business coach, someone who can really support you. And with my experience, I mean, having owned and operated brick and mortars, doing multi-level marketing, having training, being an IT teacher, like I kind of have a lot of components for those who are like ready to step into coaching. They're not sure. Maybe I do need a coach. Maybe I don't need a coach. Maybe I'd like to work with a coach for a little while just to see, but I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. And I want to dismiss that scarcity of it, because that was the best decision I ever made in my life 11 years ago or 12 when I hired my own coach. And it was the best decision when I went back and got my teaching degree, because then I had all kinds of coaches, right? Like I had all these mentors and role models and things like that. So one of the things I can offer is this upcoming 10-week program, which is called the Drive Inside, which is a success portal. And this is for 10 women. I'm only taking 10 into this, Amy, because I feel like the power of this group is going to be those who are ready are going to align with this beautifully. And it's just something to consider. You can go to that bit.ly link there at success-portal to get more information about it. But let's start with the free activation call, because that way we can have that conversation. If you go to findyourown.drive.com/contact, you can reach out to me from there, but I'll have your email from the registration. We'll do a follow-up so that you can schedule in from there as well. But I hope that this has given you the open-mindedness to what's possible for your own life and turning a leaf.
And I have to tell you, I talked with one of your clients that did one of the group sessions, and she has since signed on to do the one-on-one with you. But she said that this group was so powerful to her because it was one of those ways where, you know, she's learning from you and also learning about herself and from the group as a whole. And then to take that to the next step of, okay, I learned a lot from that, but now I want to get into the nitty gritty of what is personal to me and what is my next step that I need to be doing. So you can be able to get a big picture through this, and like with all the benefits that are here, and have that group setting, and then to be able to tailor it down from there, I think was just so powerful in her. And it was great to be able to hear from a testimonial that has gone through your group sessions and how that's led to one-on-one sort of maintenance calls for her.
Right, right, exactly. And those testimonials are up on my website, all 4 of those that we did that are video testimonials. And that to me was the eye opener. This year has been my best year ever. It's been the best year for my clients because it's just really finding that balance and, like you said, the accountability and the support that they needed when they needed it.
Yeah, she's like doubled or tripled her business. It's crazy.
Yes,
I love hearing it.
Yeah, one left a career to start her own business, like those kind of things. It's just, it's magical. And, you know, again, how you do one thing is how you do all things. So it doesn't necessarily mean about your business and career. It could be you're struggling with your relationships. You could be struggling with your health and wellness. You could be struggling with money. Like all of that comes together because we all have this life wheel where have all these components, but we don't always match to the balance. And that's key. How do we balance that? And if I'm always worried about money, I'm probably never going to have money. If I'm always worried about my weight, I'm probably always going to be overweight. Like it's, how do you neutralize that in a manner that lets you do what we were saying, the accountability, the support, reframing it, using conscious language, just really aligning with all of that. So
yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you don't realize the ruts that you're in or the things that you're telling yourself, and you need someone with a completely objective perspective to step in and say, you know, like you were saying, like, why are you saying that? What's the worst case scenario? Who's telling you that? And is it actually true? And you need that outside perspective to be able to ask those questions and to even hear that that's happening in your mind.
Yes. Yeah, because we have blinders on sometimes. We can't see past them. We're just hearing this right here, and we need to be exposed to this other stuff. And that's what I said. I'm your peripheral vision. You've got your blinders on, but I'm going to see beyond that because I've done it too many times with myself and with my clients. So I think that's really, you know, the other piece of that. So I want to open it up. If anyone wants to ask a question or a comment, I would be happy to address that. Or if you want to put it in the chat even, I can unmute you or you can unmute yourself, I think.
I have a question just to kind of get things started. You know, we've talked a little bit about morning routines, and I think that that's so huge. I took a lot away from that because it dovetailed nicely off of, you know, we've talked a lot about vision boarding, and, you know, what are some key steps to your everyday life that you can take to make some positive changes in your life? Like, what are your biggest tips?
First, it has to align with you. That to me, you can't read a book and it tells you to get up at 5:30 and journal and then do this and do that. Like to me, that's a cookie cutter, and we're not basically, I don't feel like we're made to be cookie cutters. So first, give yourself permission to do what feels good. If I decide I'm going to sleep in late, if I'm going to drink 3 cups of coffee versus 1, or if I'm going to go walk outside, like that's okay. That's okay for me. No one's judging it. Today, that's what I feel like doing. But you also can find value in some things, but give it a chance, like journaling. So I just started with a journal that is all about me and my future. Like, who am I in the future? So it only taught, and that's all that goes in there. It's this Melissa who has a personal chef, who has her breakfast cooked for her, who has her clients, who has her personal assistant, who has her car service, not Uber, my Cadillac car service, picking me up, taking me to the airport because now I'm traveling out to California or Bali or somewhere. Like, that's the story I'm putting in this. Now, I resisted this for the longest time because I'm just like, this is hard to do. Like, that's what I made it hard. So I'm not going to do it. Well, this last coach that I hired, it was like, almost like mandatory. She would just like call you out on it. Did you write your story today? And I'm like, no, I did not. And so to me, that was such, it was fun. It became fun to do that because the story got better and juicier, right? Like it just kept getting better. Then at night, I tap into my I am statements. I am wealthy, rich, wise. I'm healthy. I'm thin. I travel. I'm, you know, like whatever those I am statements. So that book is for the I ams. That to me was the 2 biggest changes that has supported me over the last several months, because again, I'm working with all these clients now because of the start of all of everything. I got my client base. I was coaching 16 one-on-one clients a week. Plus I was doing group programs. Plus I was doing the free stuff with the webinars and things. And so it was just like, holy cow, I've got to find balance here. And
Yeah.
that for me was balance. But it's just like, even, you know, when you're eating healthy, for some people, there's all these diets out there. There's keto, there's low carb, there's all fat, there's whatever. It's what you feel works for you. And then you embrace it. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. I had read a book, The 5 a.m. Club. And when I wouldn't get up early enough for it to actually be like 5:00 right on the dot, I'd feel like such a failure. But then I'm like, you know what? Even if it's 5:30 and that's what feels right to me, that's earlier than I was getting up earlier, you know, before. And, you know, I'm able to get start my day started and get these routines. And this is what feels right for me. So I love that you personalize it. And another way to personalize it is through the phone call to really see what it is that next season for you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And it starts small. When you think about, you didn't gain weight overnight, so don't expect to lose it overnight, even though we wish there was that secret to do that or that magic pill. But here's another thing I started doing. I know how important it is for skincare to wash my face at night and wash my face in the morning and brush my teeth in the morning and at night. Like I know the results. I know it can happen. I know why it's important. So here's what I do. I go into my mirror at night because I'm ready to go to bed and I really don't want to take my makeup off or brush my teeth. And I look at that Melissa in the mirror and I imagine she's 100 years old looking back at me and says, sweetie, I am so glad you washed your face and brushed your teeth every night because look at you.
I love that.
Right? I don't know. That's silly, but it works every time. If I'm sitting in the living room going, 100-year-old Melissa wants me in there washing my face and brushing my teeth because isn't this going to look great at 100? Like,
It will. It looks great now. It looks great. And, you know, that's something that you can apply to so much in your life, you know, taking that extra time. Like right now, I'm in the thick of it with my kids and, you know, taking that extra time to be extra patient or extra mindful about being present. And, you know, I think that later in life, the 100-year-old Amy is going to be so happy that I spent that extra time or did those extra things. And, you know, there's so many things that are difficult in the today that your future self will thank you for. Yes. So I love that, you know, some of the most powerful things that I've been able to take away from our conversations, you know, the morning routine, get something that works for you, that inspires you in the morning and gets you attuned to who you are and what you want to be and helps to really visualize that future you. And I love ending, you know, kind of what you were talking about, the I am in those moments that are difficult, those times where you doubt yourself, to be able to have those I am statements. And then at the end of the night to have the gratitude where you end the night thinking about what you're grateful for, because no matter how bad the day, there's always something to be grateful for. So those are just some really easy steps of things that, you know, I've taken away from some of our conversations and some of the workshops that I've attended with you, and they've just made a really big impact in my life. So just to be able to share that with everybody else.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. So did anyone have any questions? Is there in the chat box?
Can you hear me?
I can. Shelby?
Yes.
Yes. How are you?
I'm doing well. It was more of a request. The first slide, I was taking down notes, and I missed the first slide, those 3 bullet points. Can you repeat those for me, please?
Absolutely. Oops. Let's go over here. The ones I was talking about, overcoming fear. Does it serve me? Okay. Yes. What's the worst case scenario? Is it true? Am I safe?
Got it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming out tonight, or coming on tonight, I guess, not out, we're on. How about anyone else? Question, comment, hot seat coaching?
And it's important to note that all of this is going to be posted on our Cincy Chic Facebook page, and also Find Your Own Drive. I'm sure that you'll have this on your page too, Melissa, just to be able to share the replay, and we'll email this out to everyone who's RSVP'd, just to be able to have the recording of it, so that you can be able to share this with anyone else that you think might find value from it, or if you want to review anything that you saw that you want to review and take notes with. Because that's the beauty of this, is that, you know, you think about it later and you want to apply it to your life, and you don't retain everything. So it's great that this is recorded and you can be able to, you know, go back and be able to reignite some of that information.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, definitely take a look at my website. Social media channels are all Find Your Own Drive. Lean into this information that you received tonight. See what fits, what you want to take away from it, what your biggest aha was. And as Amy said, if you know, do the replays. If you want to message me, email me, respond, something like that. I mean, that's what I'm opening. If you were the student, I am the teacher. So when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And I know we don't meet by accident, and I do believe in divine timing. And so if you have been on the fence about something, if you've been feeling like there's this internal something going on, this is when you take action, because the universe likes action. Because when you take that action, inspired action, that's when everything starts coming for you, so that you can start living your life by design, so that you can start creating more than what you're living right now. And even if you have a great life and everything is good, there's always more. And we forget to give ourselves permission that there's more to do, there's more to see, there's more to have. And it's okay, because that's where life becomes fun. That's where that journey becomes exciting. And so,
and you can always do a little bit more fine tuning of, and because you're always growing and always evolving, and sometimes you need to evolve your career or your passions, or, you know, how you spend your time, to how it is that you're growing. So I think that that's really important to remember too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. One more time. Anybody got anything else to ask, say, add? Put in the chat. Everybody feels good. I can see 3 of you. Everybody else's videos are off, but we're all good.
Well, I know you're always available and super quick to respond. So if anybody thinks of anything afterwards, I'm sure that they can contact you on your social pages, your email, and you'll be connecting with them here to be able to send the replay and the activation call information. It's a super easy link. You can be able to schedule on our calendar at a time that's convenient for you. And oh my gosh, is it powerful? Be ready, like have the waterproof mascara on. This woman has the power to get to your core, and be prepared for it, because I was not, like, I literally had like mascara dripping off of my nose. Like, it was ugly cry. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. But it just is so powerful to be able to have someone understand what you can't vocalize yourself sometimes. And it's just so powerful because it's so personal. Even you might not have the words for it yet. And to have someone really outside of you be able to speak that and to be able to hold you accountable to it is just one of the most powerful experiences you will ever have. So I highly recommend you take advantage of this, because it is life-changing. So thank you, Melissa, for doing this for all of our Cincy Chicers. I hope everyone takes advantage of this, because it is truly, truly life-changing. And lots of great resources. I know you'll be sharing the Find Your Own Drive ebook as well. So lots of great resources for everyone who's RSVP to this. And like you said, there's a reason why you're brought to this, and to be able to bring it full circle, to be able to really dive into all of these resources that are now available, because, you know, you were brought into this circle, and let's make the most of it. So thank you so much for your time, Melissa.
You're welcome, Amy. Thank you. And thank you for everybody that participated tonight. That just fills my heart. My cup runneth over. And I just look forward to the work that I can do with you that say yes to yourself, because, you know, procrastination is not sexy, but investing in yourself is. So whether it's time or money or just self-care, self-love, make that your priority moving forward. So if nothing else, take that away with you tonight. Have an amazing evening. I'll look forward to seeing you drop into my inbox, and we'll just take it from there.
All right. Bye, Melissa.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.